You know, I'm fascinated by American cops, right?
Yes.
It's a tough job. Tell us about a really interesting case.
You see so many things. I mean, I've unfortunately shown up on scene when somebody had just committed suicide minutes earlier, and the person was still moving from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Because the mentality is like, oh, you're a tough guy, you're a cop, you can just suck it up and go home. No, if you just saw somebody die, that's really not normal.
Still send a code 3.
Hey there folks, Pete here from Thairish Times. How's it going? How you doing? And what's the story? We have an interview today with Serg from America, an ex-cop that's now a YouTuber over here in Thailand. So all you bad boys, what you gonna do when Serg comes for you? Just had a massive shower, just finished about 10 minutes ago, been waiting for it to stop. Check out the big rain clouds here, and I'm not sure if you can see, you probably can't see, but that's rain right there. That's not rain. And we got rain over there as well, so we're getting hit from every angle now. It's probably gonna blow over here in the next 10 minutes. So we'll have to make this intro fairly sharpish. Anyway, we're gonna meet Serg, an ex-cop from America that's now a new YouTuber over here in Thailand. So let's have a chat with him, see what the story is with him. And if you like this content, hit that like button, leave me a comment, and enjoy. And I'm going to be uploading a couple of more videos this week for you. I've got a couple of big ones coming, so things are looking good here in Thairish Times. Let's go meet Serg. Serg, how you doing?
Good, Pete, how are you?
Good, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, absolutely, man, good to be here.
It's nice to meet you finally.
It's a pleasure.
Your channel is doing very well.
Thank you, sir.
And you've got a nice presentation about you. You're a good, great talker.
I appreciate that. It's been an interesting journey, and I'm just trying to do my best.
Okay, well, you're the up and comer. You're gonna do well, I think, in the YouTube scene. Anyway, we're gonna have a chat to you about your life today. So tell us where you're from.
Originally, I was born in Russia, in St. Petersburg. I lived there till I was 9 years old, and then my parents, with myself and my brother, moved to the U.S. to escape persecution. There was a lot of problems, obviously communism, also religious persecution, being a Russian Jew. So we moved to the U.S., to the San Francisco Bay Area in California, and I spent 40 years living there, then moved to Texas for 11 months, and now I'm here in Bangkok.
So what was it like moving from Russia to America?
As a 9-year-old child, I don't think it was that complicated. I don't remember too much of it. I just remember being in a different area, meeting different people, having to learn a new language, obviously, but it was pretty simple.
So do you consider yourself to be American or Russian?
I'm American. I mean, I guess I call myself a Russian American, but I'm an American. I've lived in America for 40 years. I'm an American citizen. I consider myself to be an American.
So before we get into why you're in Thailand, let's talk about your background, because you have a really interesting story. You've had a lot of careers. Can you tell us what you've done?
I've had a variety of different careers. Most of my background was in sales and marketing early on. Back in I lived in Silicon Valley, which was San Francisco Bay Area, and probably in the early mid-90s during the internet boom, IPO, all the companies were going public, I was working as a recruiter. So I hired software, hardware engineers. I worked for a lot of internet startups, many of which are not around anymore. And I did that for a number of years, and that was really exciting to be in that environment. After that, I traded stocks for myself on a professional level, did that for a little bit, and that was really exciting. Took a little bit of a retirement for 6 months, and then I'd always had this dream of being in law enforcement. So when I was 32 years old, I applied, and I thought they'd never hire me, and they called my bluff, and I got into law enforcement. I spent 12 years working for a local sheriff's agency, and I was a public information officer there. I worked special operations, ended up being promoted to a sergeant, where I managed deputies in patrol, also in court environment. And
so tell us, I'm fascinated by American cops, right?
Yes.
So it's a tough job. Tell us about like a really interesting case that you did as a cop.
There's cases of elder abuse, child abuse, things that nobody should ever see, and it really got to you. And sometimes the problem that a lot of people in law enforcement have is they have a hard time going home because they take those things with them. And I was fortunate enough where I was able to kind of turn it off when I got home and not bring some of that anguish. And it's not that I didn't care, but you have to a certain degree, be able to leave that, because otherwise it will affect you. You won't be able to do your job. It's just like people work in medical environments where people die and things like that. You have to get over that. So a lot of times people see, you know, cops or whatever maybe making jokes or talking about something. It's taken out of context because it's a defense mechanism that you might have to use, because you see so many things. I mean, I've unfortunately shown up on scene when somebody had just committed suicide minutes earlier, and you know, the person was still moving from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. You know, things like that nobody.
What does that do to your mental health? Because I don't know how I'd be if I saw something like that.
You know, I think what makes it a little bit easier not to sound cold is that you're somewhat removed because you don't know the person on a personal level. But it's very difficult, especially if you have to deal with now a parent or a loved one who comes out and sees this. And one of the things that our department wasn't great at, and I think a lot of law enforcement departments aren't great at, is giving mental health support to their law enforcement officers. Because the mentality is like, oh, you're a tough guy, you're a cop, you know, you can just suck it up and go home. And it's like, no, if you just saw somebody die, that's really not normal. So that's why eventually I got involved in our peer support unit, where we basically helped other guys in the department if they had any kind of trauma situation happen. They needed somebody to go talk to, because the standard was just to kind of, hey, go take a week off, you know, and you'll be fine, you'll come back. And we're talking, this is only 8-10 years ago. We're not talking 70s and 80s when they just didn't care. So mental health is still something that's severely overlooked in a lot of cases, unfortunately, in a lot of areas. It can weigh on you. So
why did you quit the cops?
Well, one of the reasons I left was I developed a gluten allergy. I couldn't eat donuts anymore, so they fired me. Yeah, you can't eat donuts as a cop. You're useless. Get the hell out. No, I had a cumulative back injury, and that happens unfortunately to a lot of law enforcement. The duty belts that we wear, they're about 25 pounds, and you want it on obviously tight, it's secured, because you don't want somebody grabbing your weapons and everything off of you. And what happens a lot of times is it just compresses your spine. People end up with back injuries, and eventually that's kind of what happened. Also, getting in and out of the patrol car with all that gear bending up and down, and going from what I would call, you know, 0 to 60, because one minute you're just sitting resting, next thing you know, you got a foot bail and you got to run after somebody and chase them. So it was back injuries on my end, and I decided that it was time to leave because I didn't want to injure myself more.
And what did you do then?
So after that, what I did is I've always, well, not always, I started a vintage toy business probably sometime in the early 90s. I've always kind of been a big kid at heart. I've loved vintage toys, and I had this business where I was selling vintage toys online part-time, and when I retired out of law enforcement, I just did it full-time. So for the next 8 years, I continued my vintage toy business, and that went really well, so I just continued selling online and then some local events. I also started a couple of different online forums. One of the things, I've had a habit in my life, when I don't know something, I try to bring the information to me instead of going it to them. And I had bought a Range Rover, one of the classic Range Rovers that Land Rover made, and I wanted to learn more about it, so I started reading all these Land Rover forums, and I really couldn't find a lot of the info that I wanted, so I thought, I'll start one. So I decided to start a Land Rover forum, and of course, you know, the armchair warriors all said, hey, there's already several forums, you know, where are you going to get with that? And, you know, being a stubborn Russian, you know, American, but I mean, my roots are Russian, I said, oh, I can't do this. Okay, so that kind of pushed me forward in life. So I started this forum, and I built into the largest Land Rover community in the world relatively quickly, and that went really well. And then I kind of got bored with it, and it was a perfect timing. There was a Canadian company that was interested, and you know, I ended up transferring to them. I sold it to them. It wasn't a large amount of money, but it was just perfect timing. So they bought that, and I kind of I did some articles in some Land Rover magazines. I had published some articles in some toy magazines. There was quite a bit that I had done. I had already experience with doing media from my law enforcement days, because as the public information officer, I did all the on-camera, all the radio appearances, the newspaper articles. So I'll never forget my first live interview, which I had no idea was going to be live. And it was pretty unbearable to watch when I go back and watch that. But I had quite a bit of experience with that early on in my career, so it made it kind of simpler dealing with social media in general.
So let's get into the Thailand questions, because we all love Thailand. We all want to know.
Absolutely.
What are you doing here?
Well, I first came to Thailand in 2012. It was November, and I came here with a girlfriend of mine at the time on vacation. We came here, and I just instantly fell in love with it, Pete. I fell in love with the culture, the people, the food. It was just so warm and inviting, a little bit warmer than I was used to. That was definitely interesting, but I really fell in love with it. And then fast forward almost 9 years, we're 2020, probably around September. I have the date written down somewhere. It's the middle of the pandemic. I'm in California, Silicon Valley. I'm sitting in my house. I'm watching YouTube, and I started watching CB Media. And I'm watching Chad's videos about all the automotive events here. And I have been a car nut my whole life. I love cars, motorcycles, anything with machines, engines. And I watched that, and honestly, that night I decided, I think I'm done. I had also just turned 50, and I thought, okay, let's sell the house, let's sell everything I own, and let's go to Thailand, and let's make content and start fresh. It was just a complete change of pace.
Are you like on this journey that you're trying to figure something out, or because I meet a lot of people, and there's a lot of people actually sat right here in this position and they've quit their jobs. One guy, Alex, you might be watching now, he worked at Netflix and he quit his job, he's traveling the world. So it seems to be a reoccurring theme on the channel that we meet people that are like, I've given it all up and I'm going all in over here. Why is that? Or am I just, maybe the universe is just showing me these type of people? I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a reflection of me.
No, I think everybody does it for different reasons. You know, for me it was twofold. The pandemic, for me, like a lot of other people, made me think about what's really important in life. And it wasn't, you know, the cars or the house or the material possessions. I realized that I needed to get on my shelf. I was always a very structured person. I said, okay, let me go do something that's completely out of the norm for me. Let me move to a different country and travel. And also, I don't know, I turned 50 and I thought, okay, what am I going to do now? Every decade I kind of did something different, and I had decided that the time was just right, and I followed my gut. And a lot of decisions in my life, I really trust my gut because I think it's based on your experience and your knowledge. It's not just some weird thing. It's really your body and your mind telling you something that you already know. And I trust myself. So I decided to follow this journey and come here, and I really wanted to create content, which was something really new for me, and I've had a blast with it so far.
What's the plan for the channel? So
the plan for the channel is still, honestly, I'm trying to figure it out. I love automotive stuff. I love the food. I travel. I really want to do motorbike tours. I've been an avid motorcyclist for 30 years, so I definitely want to do some motorbike tours throughout Thailand. And the reason I named it Life with Serg was I kind of wanted to show people some of my life experiences and just take them along with me, the good, the bad. It's not going to be all, you know, rainbows and unicorn farts. There's going to be some sad things and some unfortunate things, fails. So we're just going to journey on, and I'm still trying to figure out which way it's going to go. But I try to be very genuine with people, and right now I'm kind of on this my first experience niche, and I've been sharing things on YouTube about my first experiences here in Thailand. And I think that might be a good path for me to go, to show people me trying and experiencing things here for the first time.
Yeah, we spoke about this off camera, but I think that the most important thing starting off coming over here, because it's so competitive, this YouTube game, everyone's doing it, and there's some really good YouTubers out there. You've got to create that journey that's worth following. You've got the personality. I can see you're a good talker. You come across as being authentic and genuine. So I'm pretty excited to see what's coming next.
Yeah, no, I appreciate. I am too. I mean, I love uncertainty to a certain degree. That's one of the reasons I love law enforcement, because I never knew what was going to happen day to day. And yeah, there's a lot of really good YouTubers here. I mean, there's a lot of people here that I've really enjoyed following and watching. And for me, this is enjoyable. And I'm doing this because I enjoy it. It's not so much as a job. I mean, of course, I would love for the channel to do well and grow, but that will only happen if I make good content. And the way I think I can do it is just being genuine and presenting things that I enjoy and being passionate about it. For me, passion is everything. You know, as long as you have passion about something in life, I think that's really makes it important. It really comes across in people when you meet someone who's passionate.
I saw in a video that you were praying to the Buddha. And I was thinking, are you religious or are you Buddhist? Because I saw you really got into it and you really sat down and you were in the, you were in the meditative position.
I was, and I actually cut that clip a little short because I probably sat there for a minute or two, and I just didn't want to prolong it. But I'm not religious necessarily, I'm more spiritual, but that's one of the things when I first came here is that Buddhism really appealed to me. I don't know a whole lot about it, to be honest with you. I don't pretend to, but I definitely would like to learn some more. But the whole concept of doing the right thing, doing good, appeals to me. I've always been like that. And I just think that people that have that kind of a mentality have more inner peace. And for me, it's just always striving to attain inner peace on a higher level and more self-love. So the praying there, I was actually just asking for, you know, good passage here in Thailand and for it to be welcomed here. So it's a custom, and I love customs, and I like to try and partake in local customs.
So are you a single man?
Yes, I am a single man, so I did not come to Thailand to find a wife or to find a girlfriend necessarily. Actually, my whole goal really is to come here to travel and explore, and if I meet someone, that's great, but that might kind of hinder some of my travels and progress. So, you know, I move forward in life, as I say, with open arms and an open heart, and I don't know what tomorrow will bring, so I think just being open to any situation really works for me going forward.
What are you doing for money?
Well, I was fortunate enough from an early age. My father's been a financial planner for 30 years, and he really taught me well. When my parents moved to the U.S., like a lot of immigrants, they came with nothing, and they were able to build their lives up and have success in their life. So I've always planned ahead for my retirement. I also live well below my means. I live a relatively frugal lifestyle, and I sold my house. I sold everything that I owned in the United States. I actually came here with just 2 suitcases. Those are all my personal belongings. So I have some income coming in from some investments, and you know, if the YouTube channel starts taking off, that would be nice. It's not a necessity. I enjoy doing it, but I've used some financial vehicles for retirement, so that's providing me some basic income to live on.
Okay, so you're a clever man.
Well, you know, I had my father really is the one that instilled this in me, to save early on and to plan ahead. And like I said, I always live below my means. I don't buy things that I can't afford, and I'm really not into material possessions. I try to keep life simple, and I think that's really important because nice things are great, but they don't necessarily buy you happiness.
That's it. Happiness comes from your heart, man.
Absolutely, and more people can understand that material things don't bring them happiness. It's just being happy internally, and also surround yourself with good people. I think that's so much more important than anything you could have in life, is having good friends.
So that's the next thing. If you're going to stay in Thailand and live in a place like Bangkok, do you have a way of making friends?
Well, I've been here for 3 weeks. I know one person. I have one really good close friend, but I still haven't gotten out too much, so I'm going to have to start networking more, meeting people, absolutely, because I've only met a couple people, a couple YouTubers such as yourself, and I have one really good friend that I've known here for a couple of years, but no, I definitely need to get out there and start meeting people and making some
You
friends.
don't drink alcohol?
You're right. So it's been about almost 7 months. I decided to stop drinking alcohol just for health reasons, and I feel so much better. So I rarely drink anymore, and that's also another reason for my low expenditure, because I'm not out at bars all the time. You know, I might start drinking again at some point. I don't know, but I just feel so good. I don't really feel like drinking anymore.
That's really good, man. Like, I think that's the key for long-term success in Thailand. Drinking a little bit is fine, but you know, excessive drinking is, like you said off camera to me, you lose all your money, and it's not good for the head. You make bad decisions.
No, absolutely.
So you got to, if you want to do long term in Thailand, I think that's a good strategy.
Yeah, you know, addiction comes in many forms. It could be alcohol, food, making YouTube videos, trying to make sure you've got enough subscribers, clicks, views. I've fallen into that trap. You know, what happened today? People left, people came. So absolutely, but we have to be careful because we all have addictions of one sort or another, and alcohol is one of the more dangerous ones for sure.
Just enjoy the journey, man.
That's the whole plan. That's the whole plan. Hey, it was great meeting you. Absolutely,
yeah, absolutely. Sir. And so check it out, Life with Serg. I'll leave a link in the description. So check it out. It's new, up and comer, coming in here, kind of take over the show.
Thanks so much, Pete. Hopefully.
Watch out, he's coming. Watch out, you big boys. We got a new boy in town.
I appreciate your support, and everybody else here in Thailand has been so welcoming. Very much so. Cup and cup.
Okay, cup and cup. And thanks very much for watching. If you have watched all the way to this point and you're not subscribed, please subscribe to this channel. We are making movements. We're making waves here, and we've got loads more stuff coming on this channel. So yeah. We're keeping it real over here in Thairish Times. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment, and we'll see you on the next one.
Take care, guys. And as I always say, take care of yourselves.
Lieutenant Code 3.
Bad boys, what you want, what you gonna do when Serg comes for you?